Thank
Good
you
to
for
see you too,
having
brother.
us.
I feel like I'm in a room with my people. We see each other usually when it comes to events or maybe online. But marketers are cut from a little bit of a different cloth. I think you can take an optimistic person and then you supercharge it a little bit, and then you get a marketer. So we have a lot of energy in this room. So why don't we just go through? Subi, you're on the screen. Why don't you just introduce yourself and talk about what your company does and what your role is within it?
Absolutely. I am the VP of Marketing at Stream Companies, very full service, fully integrated advertising agency. And my role is to help position Stream and shine a light on the amazing things that Stream is doing. But I also work alongside a lot of our key accounts and the OEMs. So I get to see hands-on how the team has been reacting to this situation. And we're very proactive with our clients. So it's been a very huge learning experience for me, both representing and positioning our company to our clients and partners and prospects, but then also as being hands-on and involved with how we're discussing and arming our dealer partners as well.
Very good. Thank you very much. Welcome. Dave Spannahake, you're next in my screen, so why don't you go for it?
Yeah, good to see you. And Paul, what a great event you've put up together today. So thanks for having us on. Dave Spannahake is CEO of Reunion Marketing. We're a quickly growing marketing company. We've been around for 5 years, and it's called Reunion because before starting Reunion, myself and 5 other guys, we reunited after working at a dealership. Spent 10 years there as the marketing director for a 33-store group. Where we had 25 people on the team and took a lot of those principles and lessons to create Reunion. And actually know both these guys, Subi and John, from my days there. I always called Subi and we would bounce ideas off each other and then worked with John. So you got a great cast here with us today.
Very cool. I didn't know that. John, say hello.
What's going on, man? Great job putting this together at relatively short notice. I think it's been fantastic. So kudos to you. I trust all of you. Your families are well. I know right now we're leaning in more than ever before because that's the number one most important thing for all of us. A little bit about Force Marketing. We've been in business about 14 years. We now represent 3 brands. Force Marketing are the lever pullers of digital marketers. And we do all digital marketing, paid search, social media, SEO, all those types of digital marketing type endeavors, including Drive, which is our new product, which helps push out VIN-specific dynamic video through streaming media, Facebook, YouTube, and an omni-channel approach to that. So that's sort of been leading the way for us. And then We Drive Automotive is our direct mail, email, and text marketing company. We've been doing direct mail for a long time. We felt that the need was to create our own brand under that area of our business. And then Helix Technologies is really at the core of everything we do, which is a marketing technology platform, very similar to the likes of an automotive mastermind, but we're able to take an audience sort of data first party data approach, and then push that out through marketing and make it useful in marketing, and then report back because we're connected to the dealer's DMS and CRM. So we've been sort of feeling that our value to the space right now is to just deliver as much real-time data as we possibly can. And that's sort of our message.
No, very, very, very good. So as you can see, like there's a lot of layers and textures to automotive marketing. And when I first got into the industry, I couldn't believe how many integration layers there were. I think we're very unique in that. And so as all of us that are on here are always faced with getting all the components to line up, right? Because that's our job as marketers, to line everything up in an organization, whether that's the data, the message, the people, and put them all in the same direction, which is why I think most people that answered the poll answered that they use, multiple marketing vendors. So, and questions are going to start to come in. I would love to get some of them. First, I would like to hear, in the spirit of getting perspective, I would like to hear from all of you, and what are the top things you're hearing that your clients need help with? They're like, help me solve this problem. So John, you're on the screen still, so why don't you go first and we'll go back down the line.
Sure. What the hell do we do? I think, right, and look, first of all, I think vulnerability is super important right now because I think that's where we really all connect. There's an element at Force Marketing, what the hell do we do as well, right? Our clients are considering pulling back altogether, marketing is an easy lever to pull, right? Shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're sort of saying is that's a route you could take.
Mm-hmm.
However, the data suggests you may want to consider leaving some of the marketing dollars there for the buyer that will come next week, next month, or 3 months from now. And we're reminding them of statistics like 81% of shoppers take 90 days before making a decision, right? So what the message we're sending out today is going to resonate to the buyer in July. And we can't forget that. And so to go completely dark, we believe may not be the best route. Now, there's case by case basis.
Yep.
We've sort of broken it out and said, look, we believe we've kind of got a 4R strategy, right? There's going to be folks that need repair, and we need to communicate with them. There's going to be folks that need to replace their vehicle, and we need to remind them that the OEMs have a great opportunity to replace a vehicle right now. There's going to be relief that we can offer. One of the things we're sharing with our dealers is that and we got to be very careful on the messaging, but you can be a source of financial relief. If I was laid off as a waitress and I don't know when I'm coming back, or in the hotel business, or I'm furloughed, and I can postpone my second largest household payment for 4 to 6 months, that you bet that's going to be on my consideration set.
Absolutely.
In terms of what do I do and how do I get my family through the crisis.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
We're reminding them that message carefully needs to make its way into the community. And then finally, recovery. Yeah. How do we recover from this as a group, as a nation, as a local community? And dealers need to lean into their hyper-local ability to tap in and be there for the recovery, as they are also and have always been there through the toughest and through the greatest of times. It's probably more than you want to hear. That's sort of what.
No, that's really great. That's really great. Thank you for that insight and perspective. Very helpful. Dave, what are people asking you to help them with? First and foremost, this, what the hell do we do? Implied. What are you hearing most?
Well, I think a lot of it's just expectation setting. I mean, everyone is so uncertain and not really knowing what's going to come or what kind of industry expectations we can see. So it's one of my favorite equations is happiness equals expectations minus reality. And so people aren't as happy if they don't know what's going on. So I think,
that's good.
Understanding how consumers are shopping now. Right now, looking at our data and then comparing that with data at Google, I mean, people are still shopping for automotive related terms. It's down about 25% year over year, which is kind of to be expected. I think that it'd be down a little bit, but that's much higher than I think a lot of people might look at. People are still looking for cars, which is going to create some pent up demand. And then also, I mean, we went through as an industry, the Great Recession, which taught us a lot of different lessons about, how consumers behave during that time. And I think that we can expect similar things to happen. So I look at things like the new car market, the used car market, fixed ops, and those things. And, I've got some perspective stats here where, the last 5 years, new car sales have been above 17 million. The lowest, even during the worst year in 2009, was 10.5 million new cars sold. So people are still going to buy new cars. The average car on the road is almost 12 years old. So, I mean, that's something that people still need. It's a necessity for people. And I think one of the biggest opportunities for people to start thinking about is, even during that time when we can make a lot of comparisons, in 2007, we sold 41 million used cars, and they didn't see the same level of drop in 2008, 2009, where we dropped to 35 million cars. So people still buy cars, they just buy it differently. So what are they searching for? What are the different trends to expect? And I think that we can draw a lot of correlations between what happened then to what's happening now moving forward. So, to reinforce what John said, I think a lot of dealers are real quick to potentially just cut their whole budget. This is a really dangerous time to do that, because the dealers who came out on the better side back after the Great Recession were the ones that increased their market share. They increased the allocation then to the dealership. All those things kind of come in hand. So, I mean, you can take a couple smaller losses ideally here to increase that market share, then increase that allocation. You come out on the other side so much in so much stronger position by doing those things. And if you don't, that's where we saw the most consolidation in the history of the industry, is the dealers who didn't take the right steps and leverage data. So, taking the right steps to stay ahead of it and not fall into the trap of despair, and use data and use partners that can supply that. That's is critical.
Very good.
To come out on the right side.
Great insights. Thank you. Subi, What do you hear? What's your ear to the ground telling you on what people are asking with help with the most or most often?
Yeah, I echo a lot of what's already been said, but it seems like the biggest area that is confusing is they're looking at their expenditure, but they don't know how to position themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that we've become so accustomed to certain types of messaging that when we have to completely shift and talk about being tactful in our messaging, changing our tone, not being so salesy, it's throwing a lot of dealers for a loop.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been really, really happy and impressed in watching, what our team has done. Having been in the business for 20 some odd years, we have a lot of different varied experiences across the board. And I think the biggest thing has been stop. Let's take a minute to collaborate. Let's treat ourselves like a real business. What are we doing to protect our team? What are we doing to protect the community? And each state has a varying degree of rules, regulations, who is and isn't allowed to be open. So diagnosing that each individually and saying, okay, if we're allowed to be open, here are the steps we're taking, and making that very visual and easy for customers to understand. Those types of little strategical points are what I'm seeing most that people are wanting to discuss and put a plan together for. And just to hit it again, I know I kind of mentioned it, but really understanding how to re-message what they may already do, home deliveries, whatever it is that they're doing, just being tactful about how we're approaching these people who they may be in market, but they may not know where their next paycheck is coming from.
Yeah,
So being very
absolutely.
careful about messaging.
Yeah, and this is, I'm going to take a second and weigh in, just because this is my area as well. This is the real opportunity. Warren Buffett says about investing in stocks that, when everyone else is scared, he gets greedy, and he gets greedy when everyone else is greedy, he gets scared. Putting this in terms of marketing for us is that when we come out of this, the game is going to be about market share alone. Because if, say, there's 5,000 vehicles sold in your market and you typically sell 1,000 vehicles, and now that market's going to drop by 20%. So now there are only 4,000 vehicles being sold in that market. There are still 1,000 vehicles for you to sell. You just have to take market share. And the way that somebody does that is by having the message and the fulfillment of that message that is different than everybody else's, right? If we're all shooting the same arrow, price payment, then what is everybody else going to do the second it turns on? They're going to deploy as many dollars as they can, as fast as they can. But the thoughtful dealers that have their messaging in line and have their brand developed, that give the unique, authentic connections, are going to be the ones that, in this moment, like you're saying, dealers are changing their messaging, right? That's great. And I think that it's good. Now, dealers that have been brand marketing before this have a distinct advantage, but people who are about to pivot from price payment messaging to brand messaging, good step. But the second this thing lets up, if you go back to price payment messaging, you're going to be seen for the fraud that you are, and that you didn't really mean it. So like what we're seeing as an agency is that we're actually seeing an uptick in dealers signing on to get ready for that 4 to 6 weeks from now, and to actually make the move that they were thinking of making. So then, like, I look at, John and Dave and Subi, like, through the platforms that you have to actually push that out. That, in my opinion, that's the holy grail. You get authentic messaging that is dialed in, that is honest, it's empathetic, and then you deploy it at the right time to the right people. That's really what's going to win to gain market share long term. And for every dealer watching this, that is the new holy grail. It's just market share. It's just market share. They're going to be less cars to sell. You're going to make less money on them. You need to get as many of them in your market as possible. And the way you win that game isn't necessarily going to be price, because everyone's going to be pulling that lever as deep as they can when we come out of the gate. So that's kind of like the whole, I feel like that between all of your areas of expertise and what we all offer as an industry, I think that's one of the real indicators of why people use multiple marketing vendors, is because there are a lot of ways to attack this. And when we align the people and the technology and the messaging, when we do that, well, in my opinion, that equals market share. Let's get to some questions. This is a great one. So, well, this is going to be a hard one because what is the best marketing thing I should be doing right now? I would answer that thing and say something. I'm not even saying spend money, but something. But it's really hard to contextualize that question. I would answer that question. The best thing you should be doing right now is storytelling around how everyone is feeling. Everyone feels scared, isolated, uncertain. Storytell around that because you're a business, you have people, you are also feeling scared, uncertain, and isolated. That's my take on it. Subi, why don't you go and then we'll swing back down the line.
Absolutely. As for doing right now, there's a few tactics that you should definitely be employing. Google My Business, make sure you're getting weekly updates. As things change for your region and your city and your state, make sure the community knows. The reality is there are people actively shopping today and are willing, as long as they feel safe within what you're presenting and they feel that they can safely do business with you. There are people in many markets that are still selling cars. So communicating with your community through means like Google My Business, updating your hours and how they're going to go through that process. Also in your paid search, change your terminology, making sure all of what you're currently doing, what you're presenting matches. And then also consider that consumer behavior, while majority of us are staying at home. So as that happens, what are the things that they can do at home? Watch TV. So I really highly recommend, if you don't have a good USP brand message that you're sharing with people, maybe don't do this. But if you have a good message where you can tell people, we are here, we are putting you first, we are being safe, and either we're open for business or you can still engage with us online, get on CTV, get on the connected TV type platforms where you can really get in front of them where they are with a soft storytelling type of message. Those are the three things that I would say right now.
Very good. Dave, what can people be doing right now?
Yeah, I love when you said something, because the fear factor is creating an environment where some people just want to quit doing marketing at all, and that really is the last thing you should be doing. This is a pretty top of mind thing for us actually over here. We just put on our YouTube channel a building a budget how-to yesterday that
good.
is a good time for dealers to just reassess what it is they're doing, how they're measuring success, and how they're even building out the right strategies and budgets too. So I'll give just a couple of highlights of some of those things. But first off, I mean, when you start off with a marketing plan, having a good idea for how much money you should be spending. So right now it's a little bit tougher with people not spending as much, but how many units are you selling, and then what is your marketing cost per car sold goal that you should be achieving? We're going to see margins get potentially even tighter here with a lot of the different incentives that are out. So having a strong goal as an industry, I think we spend about $630 per car. It should be about half that or less. And so multiplying those two things together to come out with a budget, and then focusing on in-market first and building up. So, your website and the conversion tools, a lot of stuff that's been discussed earlier, considering things like digital retailing and making sure that what's going on in the market, and you're building a story on your website and across your different intent channels with your SEO strategy and your PPC strategy and those things that match what consumers are looking for. Are they finding you, and is your website experience matching what their expectations are? And then moving up from there, because people are still going to be shopping third-party sites, especially with used cars. Having a used strategy, having a fixed op strategy right now, if you don't have one, it's incredibly important to be building that out and making that part of your strategy. And then as we still are looking to stimulate people to move into market and give them reasons and incentives why, I think redirecting some of those stimulus budget dollars, away from some of the more traditional things like TV and radio that are so broad and not targeted to programmatic channels and things like Facebook and video pre-roll and OTT, and start segmenting your audience and speaking to the audience. Again, just like on your website and your SEO and PPC efforts, the more that you can tell a story that matches who that person is, or what their expectations are, you're going to create so much more success building a strategy that way. So I think, to summarize, reassess your plan, make sure that you're focusing on, intent channels, and then on your stimulus efforts, targeting around different audiences to drive them in and really speak to those individuals in a way that makes it feel very to them.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. Mr. Fitzpatrick, you get the last word in this panel. Why don't you give us, what should I be doing right now with my marketing?
Yeah, well, I'm going to share some data points with you, but first I'm going to say everything they said I agree with. And here's what's interesting. I would have agreed with it pre-crisis.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we're really saying is we need to lean into what we already knew we needed to do. We just didn't have the time, didn't have the budget, didn't know when we were going to structure the mindset. And so all of those things, while basic, they're still not happening. And so they're absolutely right. They need to do those things. Now, we're also talking about letting this, and this is going to sound sort of bad, but we're talking about what should we do with a business, right? There's a quote, never waste a good crisis. And we believe that through that sort of feeling of a terrible message, but hear me out for a second. Use this opportunity to make the business better. And right now we're talking about marketing. So make the marketing better, right? Make the message better. By the way, if you had a poor reputation online, now is the time to change that.
Yep.
You had a great reputation online. Now's the time to lean in on that.
That's right.
Remind your local community, because by the way, more hyper local than ever, we need to be thinking. Right now, when you flip on the news and you watch Governor Cuomo, if you're not in New York, no offense to you, you're sort of like, I want to hear what he's doing, but I really care about Atlanta.
Yep.
And more importantly, not only do I care about Atlanta, I want to care about where I live in Atlanta, like around my neighborhood. So we need to really tap into that from a messaging perspective. Now, let me just share with you some stats about, because I think the bigger question is, we all sort of agree on the messaging, I think. Where, right? Well, since we're on LinkedIn,
we got 20 seconds. We got 20 seconds. So give us the data.
All right, here's the data. Our LinkedIn, they ran a 13 market test from consumers feeling about brands. 44% of the respondents said they're spending more time on social media than ever before. Social media, as we know, is an effective way. I'm talking about LinkedIn right now. Here's what they said. 30% of the respondents, this is consumers talking about brands, right? That they should provide live streaming events. Paul got the message on that one. Live streaming events on how they have an opportunity for their brand to consider how they can help them in their local market. So what we're doing right now and what we're showcasing with all of these people that went like this and said, Paul, we love your leadership. We're all about it. Dealers could do the same thing.
They could, absolutely.
Have the network to do it.
Absolutely. I love that idea. That's going to be the last word. Be the mayor. Be the mayor. Celebrate your community. Encourage your community. You can do it. You can do it. Guys, thank you so much. We have our featured dealer panel up next. Thank you so much for spending some time with us, coming together. Obviously, there's a great community amongst the marketers in automotive, and I think this is just a great representation of it. So I hope that you're all well. I can't wait to see you in person again at the next event.
Absolutely.
Yeah, same here. Thanks
Thank
for doing
you for having
Thanks,
us.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.